Hello everyone, thank you for coming to present your productions to me today. Sadly, we will only be able to fund one of your productions. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited to hear your storyboards today. We're gonna start with Elena, because ladies first, so Elena, take it away. Elena, thank you so much for your wonderful production storyboard. Now we're gonna shift over to Shaylee. Shaylee, please take it away.
Hey, classmates and fellow people. My name is Shaylee Ray. I wanted to cover the different trainings of acting with regards to theater and how it improves acting and what it does for that. First off, we are going to cover what is training of acting. Just like anything we do in life, there needs to be practice if we are wanting to improve on the talent that we have. Acting is no different than wanting to learn how to play the piano and developing those skills. It takes time, work, dedication to become better and to improve those skills. With that, there is the vocal training of an actor. Vocal training can help actors and non-actors by helping unlock each voice's unique potential. It can help you and essence to find your voice so you can be heard and understood, which can contribute positively to a person's overall health. Vocal training can also expand the imagination. There are a few ways to use vocal training to unleash a different side of your creativity. One of the benefits of vocal training is learning to enhance your vocal range and versatility, which means you can market yourself for more diverse roles. Casting will have the opportunity to see the many different sides of your acting skills, and vocal training will help you stand out in a crowded audience. Not only with vocal training will you be able to enhance and progress in your acting career as an actor, but you are able to enhance your vocals by projecting, or you can be soft with your voice. And there are different techniques to vocal training because you have to be able to project while also being soft, project while being loud, and there's those different ranges, especially in the theater performance. Voice. Why is the voice of an actor important? You must be heard by everyone in the audience. Lines contain crucial information about the plot and the characters. Audience will get angry and bored if they can't hear you. It conveys what kind of character you are playing. It conveys what your character thinks and feels about the events that are taking place. So having your voice and portraying your voice is really important with being able to feel those emotions. Movement training. Just like vocal training, movement training is very important to actors to know where they need to be on the stage and how and what to do with their bodies. Acting is an athletic event. To speak the lines of Shakespeare or to perform in a 3-act farce requires physical dexterity, flexibility, strength, and stamina. Movement training for actors encompasses a number of techniques and philosophies that help free actors to inhabit the physical life of the actor. There are many techniques to movement training. One of them is your character that you could be playing could be dancing, and you would have to figure out the techniques of that movement and figure out those steps, how your body should be moving, if it needs to be with sharp movements or if it's supposed to be soft and flowy towards like being able to express how your character would feel in that scene or in that part in that play, to being able to express yourself through your body language. And last, acting is a sport. On stage, you must be ready to move like a tennis player on his toes. Your concentration must be keen, your reflexes sharp, your body and mind are on top gear. The chase is on. Is energy. In the theater, people pay to see energy. And with that, we are able to see what actors can improve on, and with being able to understand how the actors feel is through their voice and through their actions. Back to you, Jared.
Shaylee, good job. You did fantastic on your storyboard. Now we're going to go over to Braden. Braden, take it away.
Hi, my name is Braden Flint, a playwright and a director of theater, and today I'm here to present my storyboard for a gripping historical fiction play production, and that which teaches the decentralization and subsidization of theater starting in the 1940s during World War II until the 1980s, and its effect on modern theater. Although its main protagonist, Jacob Mackey, is a fictional character, all of the dates, events, and secondary characters are factual. Also, he will be an accurate representation of the influences that brought decentralization and subsidization to the industry. My production is called Subsidized, A Journey of a Producer, and I hope that today I can win the grant for my production. As I mentioned earlier, my production is a historical fiction that follows the story of a young small-town Nebraskan native with no family named Jacob Mackey, who aspires to be a theatrical producer who joins the American war effort during World War II. The first act will start in 1944 in Normandy, France, where he's stationed when 1 month after Operation Overlord, a United States Organizations Inc. or USO camp show performs the Barrettes of Wimpole Street, where he is stationed. These camp shows were privately funded by donations and grants and were the small beginnings of subsidizations. These productions were a miracle given the state of society and despite the largely disrupted activity in theater due to the war. The emotional impact of this tired and worn soldier, the emotional impact that this camp show, that this performance had, on this tired and worn soldier, only further inspired his interest in producing plays. Being business-minded, he begins brainstorming ways in which he can bring play productions to even more people, even in small towns or in remote, desolate places or in areas with little financial resources. The final scene of Act 1 will show a celebration of the end of the war in 1945 and Jacob Mackey traveling to London rather than a home to Nebraska where he has no family. He begins working for a small theater company to learn the ropes. The beginning of Scene 2 will depict the changes influenced by a government-funded performances that happened during World War II to build morale, something that Jacob has a testimony of. That funding after the war was continued in Europe. This story will follow Jacob Mackey in his quest to bring the theater to poor towns in England. Decentralization puts production of plays in the hands of local producers and is accomplished through financial assistance in the form of subsidization, which means that the government funded a portion of the costs necessary for the production, which made it so that the production was not only possible, but could also bring the prices down of its tickets and therefore making it more accessible to more people. Next, we'll show Parliament, which authorized local authorities in England to devote a percentage of their tax revenues to the arts in 1948, and in the formation of the Arts Council of Great Britain, which in my production, Jacob will play a significant role in, so that we can teach this important part of the industry to those who watch the production. Following this, Jacob will join the Stratford's Festival in Stratford upon Avon in England, a provincial theater festival, and his business knack will become expertise, and he'll help it to gain traction. And in 1960, Jacob Mackey will move home to the U.S. He and the RSC and the National Theater seek ways to expand the traditional audience face to have educational facilities, and they bring productions to high school and college-age students. Act 3 will begin with the opening scene of Mackey in 1961 in his new home after he's moved to Minneapolis. He reads a newspaper article in this opening scene about news in theater, where he learns that the name of his beloved Stratford Festival has been changed to the Royal Shakespeare Company and is making huge strides with subsidization. In other news, the federal theater stopped being subsidized by the government in the United States, by the United States government in 1939, but there's stirrings among American art groups that America should adopt similar principles. So our protagonist will take this as a call to action and will go on a search for people to help him bring his vision to his nation of origin. This is where he meets Tyrone Guthrie of Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis. At the time, he was one of the world's foremost directors. The play will end with him shaking hands with Tyrone Guthrie in a coffee shop, which will serve as a foreshadowing of the reawakening of decentralization in America in 1963. Why should my production receive the grant? That's because first, it celebrates subsidization, which your contribution is a modern example of, and will further the cause of boosting morale among the masses and making theater more available to everybody. Further, it's educational and teaches the history of decentralization and subsidization that will build the foundation that this production will stand on, which is poetic and intriguing. It's not only a gripping story, but it is also an important one that ought to be told. Thank you for your time.
All right, Braden, I loved your production storyboard. I loved all you guys' production storyboards. Now we have our last contestant, all right? His name also so happens to be Jared. I don't know. He also kind of sounds like me. Who knows? Anyways, Jared, your turn. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present my potential production to you. Very excited about it. I've titled it The Revolution of Methods of Theater. And as you can see, there's a government sign with a big X. That means that the government was starting to have less control, also known as the decentralization of theater. Now, this brought a lot of changes to theater. As a result, there was less funding and control given by the government and also churches. That meant more funding and control was required by corporations and private sponsors. Also, they relied more on charities and ticket sales for money, thus the subsidizations of funds and control changed. Now, flexible space also increased over the years because of the ability to be less censored and controlled by the government. Now, more smaller theaters emerged, and many theaters that lacked a lot of funding emerged as well. Thus, improvisation and less expensive sets were required, and flexible space was used more and more. So now, quote, the concept of a building designed for flexible staging techniques can be attributed to Swiss designer Adolphe Appia. And this picture from and that's a quote from 1921, and this is a picture from on the right. Nice to put a name to the face. Now, there are many people who use flexible space well, and a great example of this and the star of this production is Jerzy Kratowski. He is the founder of what is called Poor Theater. Now, he loved to bring the audience and the actors physically closer together, thus creating a more interactive performance. Now, Kratowski coined the term poor theater, defining a performance style that rid itself of the excesses of theater, such as lavish costumes and detailed sets, hence poor. Poor theater pieces center on the actor's skill and are often performed with only a handful of props. Now, as a director, Kratowski preferred to perform works in non-traditional spaces, such as buildings and rooms, instead of mainstream theater houses with traditional stages. Typically, the audience was placed on many sides of the action or in and amongst the action itself. For example, sort of traveling around the room together. They could go and interact with the props. It was cool. It was great. Now, here's a quote from Kratowski that I like. Young artists wish for inspired moments, and you find them. You take them. Eager artists are like bandits. Theatrical moments arrive and you grab. Good. You know it will draw attention to you, but you aim to be more than bandits, no? So okay, now be samurai. Now, Jerzy Kratowski, he pushed his actors and actresses to become more physically and mentally. He wanted to change them, make their skill levels better, and rely on less on sets, less on fancy costumes. Wouldn't even allow for costume changes. If you had to go to a wedding, you were wearing the same costume you started out in. So he really pushed people to make their acting better. Now, poor theater is merely one example of how barriers were being broke down and people were being more able to express themselves and create productions with no expensive or extensive scripts and productions. Now, this is what I want to base my play around, is Kratowski and how he changed theater and how he used what little he had to create an interactive play experience. I want to show the changes that were happening in society around him and how it affected him. I want to see Kratowski change the actors and actresses around him, not only physically but mentally too. I want to show him making plays such as Cordian, The Constant Prince, etc. I want to see the changes happening in the audience, and I want to show Kratowski's impact on the viewers of his show. I want to show the world the depth of what can be accomplished if flexible space is used properly, and that we can do so much even if we have so little. Now, these are just my references for convenience sake, and it's also for the consideration for the dramaturg to research and determine the play's accuracy of that time and hopefully can add it so that the play can be made as accurately as possible. Thank you so much for your time and consideration, and have a great day. Thank you, Jerry. You did a great job on your storyboard, and so did everybody. Thank you. I loved your presentation so much. Now, after careful consideration, the production that we are going to invest in is